I'm Carol Smith, and I'm president of the Democratic Club of Quail Creek. And together with Sandy Stone, who's president of the Green Valley Dems, we want to welcome you today to our meeting.
In response to the most recent gun violence, I'd like to ask all of us to have a moment of silence for all of those who have been victims of gun violence. Thank you. Thank you. This gun violence has to stop. If it can happen to a young 31-year-old who we don't agree with, it can happen to me. I'm not as major a loss, perhaps, but somehow we have to stop this gun violence. At our rallies on Saturdays, we encourage people not to get into disruptive conversations. We're as guilty sometimes as our Republican friends that are there. There's no reason to increase the anger, which could lead to some violence. So let's all be respectful of each other's views and let it go at that. So I always begin our program at the Democrat in Green Valley by saying, howdy. I was recently told that not everybody understands why I do that, not because I'm a little strange. There is a reason. In this past legislature, they passed a bill which made howdy our state, what's the word I'm looking for? Greeting. So that's why I say it. So we can do it one more time. Howdy. All right, good. Next subject. How many of you saw a resolution in the Green Valley News last week? Oh, goodness. It cost us $1,800 and none of you saw it? So, you saw this? Okay, good. Then it wasn't a waste of money. So, this all began, Simon Rosenberg, who is a political analyst, put together a list of his grievances that he has against Trump, and he wrote it in a fashion similar to the original resolution that was sent to King George. So that's why we did it on parchment paper, etc. And it lists many, many things that Trump and his minions have done, anti-constitution, anti-oath of office, etc. Yes, that's all I have to say. Carol, you're up again.
Thank you. I just have a couple of announcements. We have a Women in Blue luncheon coming up. It is going to be on Thursday, September 25th. It's going to be actually a brunch. It will be at Sandy Stone's. And any of you women that would like to sign up that haven't done so, see me after the meeting and I'll tell you how to do that. And then I wanted to also announce that on October 12th, which is a Sunday, at CPAC at 2 p.m., both Green Valley Dems and DCQC are holding a panel discussion that is going to be on media and freedom of the press. We're going to have Dan Shearer from the Green Valley News, Daniel Karma from AZPM, and Paul Ingram from the Tucson Sentinel. So we would encourage you to put that on your calendar. It should be a great event.
What time again?
2 o'clock. October 12th is a Sunday at CPAC.
In the main auditorium.
In the main auditorium, thank you. Before we have our speakers, I happened to be listening to the radio, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I heard this song, and I'm not going to sing it to you, but I got the lyrics, and this was a song, was sung by the Buffalo Springfield, and if any of you are from San Francisco like I am, you remember they were part of that group in the 60s. And in 1966, they wrote this song, For What It's Worth. There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look, what's going down? Battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds, getting so much resistance from behind. It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look, what's going down? It's time we stop. What's that sound? Everybody look, what's going down? Paranoia strikes deep. Into your life it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man comes, take you away. We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? 1966, 60 years ago. So it is my pleasure that we have today 4 young Democrats from the U of A. We hope that we can learn from you, and we want to work together to salvage our democracy because it's your future. We are with you. Stay strong and continue to fight for freedom, justice, and peace. So with that, we have Rahel Hine. She's a senior at the U of A studying political science with an emphasis on international relations. Rahel is the UA College Dems president, communications director for AZ College Dems, and president of U of A Aspiring Black Lawyers. We also have David Gamez, and he is a dedicated community advocate, political organizer, and aspiring public servant. He serves as regional director of Arizona College Dems, treasurer of UA College Dems, and treasurer for LD 21 Dems. Trey Rhodes is a sophomore at the U of A and an intern with Councilman Paul Cunningham. Trey volunteers with the U of A College Dems, LD 17 Dems, Democrats of Greater Arizona, and the African American Democratic Caucus of Tucson. So with that, I would say, go Cats, bear down, right? And come on up, and we will love to hear from you.
All right, howdy everyone. My name is Rahel Hain. I am the current president of UA College Dems. We just had our board elections this last week. We are so happy and proud that you guys have invited us here to listen to us. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and I'll give you a little bit spiel about what we have going on and how you guys can help support us.
Thank you, Rahel. Howdy as well. My name is David Gamez. I am Southern Arizona born and raised. Lived in Nogales, Arizona, so kind of got both perspectives of the border. Come from a family full of public servants. My mom was an educator here, just recently retired after 35 years of education. My dad was, My father, he was in the local sheriff's office, working in the clerk, as a clerk as well, and then DHS before all of it now. So, but yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Very excited to be with a new group of people. And it's a pivotal moment right now, and not only in our state but in the country. And it's time for unity. And thank you very much. Pass it on to Trey.
Thank you, David. Wow, there's like a reverb that's gonna mess me up. My name is Trey. It's wonderful to be here and see all you guys' lovely faces. I was born and raised here in Tucson. I'm a sophomore at the U of A, as mentioned. My leadership includes my involvement with UA College Democrats. I'm operations director. My involvement with LD17 Democrats, the Tucson City Council member Paul Cunningham, the African American Caucus and Democrats here to Tucson. And yeah, I'm honored to be here and share my perspective, and hopefully I can give you guys something to take away and add to the greater journey.
So a little background on our club. The UA College Dems was actually dismantled about 4 or 5 years ago, and following the last election, there was a group of us who saw the need to restart up the club. So we started back up about November, December of last year. So we've been operating for about 8-9 months now. We now have a full board. We did a lot of events last semester working with the community. Coming up this semester, we'll be hosting a career night with various elected officials and professionals to come and speak with students to get them interested and involved and understand what a career looks like in politics. We collaborate with our county Democrats in Pima. They're such great help, especially Alex Cack. They help us fund events, find funding. We pass out some flyers to you guys there to check us out. We unfortunately do not have a website right now. If anyone has social media, we are on Instagram. We also have a donate link there. Any effort that you guys are able to help support us through funding allows us to then host events and actually get students interested, because if any of you have some college students in your life, they always love free stuff and they don't like to listen to us unless we're offering them something.
Free food.
Free food, yes. We just finished a voter registration drive 2 weeks ago now, and we registered a ton of new voters on campus. We had Secretary of State Adrian Fontes come out and help us, and I think people are finally understanding that we have a solid group of people on the ground at the U of A in Pima County and Tucson that are willing to put in the work and get involved. A lot of us are PCs with our different LDs. We're spread out with LD 17, 18, 19, and 20. And we just had our first event 2 weeks ago? A week ago. We signed up 5 new PCs. So that's going to be our goal. Yes. These students, they want to get involved, but they don't know how to get involved, and they don't know where those resources are. So we provide those resources for them as much as we host fun events and bring elected officials and talk about the important topics. We want them to join as PCs. We want them to be registered voters. We want them to help canvass for elected officials. A lot of these people, especially college students, they're from out of state. They don't know what the elected officials are in Tucson. They don't know what politics look like in Tucson. And Tucson is a special place. We have a lot of different people with different needs, and we believe that the college student voice has been forgotten on a global stage and on a state level. We're involved with the Arizona Democratic Party. They've been great help. We have people up in Phoenix right now at state committee to show that we care and advocate for the people and initiatives that we want. So we're so thankful for you guys having us here. Any way you can donate to help us push these efforts along is always welcome. please reach out to us. We have an email on that form as well. If you would like to know what we're up to or provide us resources to then provide to college students, please forward them our way. I check that email literally every day, so you will be talking to someone. And thank you again for having us here.
And hello, I am Carter Weeks. I am with the Young Democrats of Arizona, the Vice President of Development for Southern Arizona. And what we're doing is we are targeting youth between the ages of 18 and 39 to try and encourage political turnout, as well as to get them a bit more involved with the democratic process as a whole. So right now we have several of our members up at the state convention hosting a youth council. And we've also started to form multiple different Young Democrat clubs across the state, with Maricopa County, and I believe Greenlee County is going to be starting up a new group relatively soon as well. And our goal is to try and make the youth voice heard, because all too often our voices are getting ignored. And that's because many of us just don't go out to vote. And so the elected officials don't really have a reason to listen to our concerns and to address the problems that we're going to have. And if we can start encouraging political turnout, if we're able to get out to vote, we can change that, and we can start making the changes that we need to make sure that our future is going to be the one that we want to have.
Would you like us to open the floor for questions, or how you guys doing?
I have a question.
Perfect.
What's a PC? We clap, but what is it?
Well, that's what every college student has been asking us. I wish I had brought my slide for you guys, so I'll kind of go off script here. A PC is a precinct committee person. So you sign up as a precinct committee person with your LD. The cool kids down there call it a PC. You know, we don't like the long term. But we are looking to get people involved and signed up as PCs so that they actually get the chance to vote on delegates that get sent to the DNC to then vote in the primaries and vote for the president. They are technically an elected official, so when you initially sign up, you just fill out a form, submit it to your LD, you'll get reached out to, you get added to these listservs and invited to all these events that are all optional. You're only required to then go vote 1 to 2 years to vote on your county elected officials, your state party officials. You get to actually be the person to decide who's in power to make those decisions. So yes, voters have the power, but PCs have.
Yeah.
You coordinated all the David Hogan Leaders We Deserve, that group. Are you in touch with them? Or?
So yeah, we had David Hogg come and speak to the Young Democrats of Arizona about a month or so ago. And so he gave us some extremely good advice on how we can try to get the youth involved, and also good ways to run campaigns when our generation is ready to start taking these leadership positions. Primarily by focusing on grassroots organizing, as well as actually connecting with your neighbors. Because all too often with our generation, we feel like we're being told what to think, as opposed to being given the opportunity to provide input about what we're wanting. And one of the ways that he suggested people do this is, as opposed to hosting fundraising events with donors and then putting out advertisements, you walk around your neighborhood, you knock on people's doors, and you say, hello, I'm interested in running for this office. What are the problems you're facing in your community, and how can we address it? And then you go out and you try to make the fixes that you can before you're even in office, such as submitting requests to fill potholes, or to make sure that parks are cleaned up. And this helps to build up trust, it helps to build up faith, and then you're able to, once you get into office, hopefully, start making the changes that are needed to address larger scale issues in your community.
Question. And that was a follow-up to you. So how does our generation get out of your way so you can take over?
So I would actually say, don't get out of our way. Help us out as we're doing all this. Because this is going to be a long process. And while we're extremely enthusiastic, and while many of us have the knowledge to do this, we don't have the experience. And the experience is going to be absolutely critical. People who know how to work the system, who know the contacts who can help us out. And so the best ways to do it is to start getting young people you know involved in politics. Bring them to a couple of meetings. They will find that these are the most welcoming crowds of people imaginable. And then you can start, and then once they're ready to start running for office and stuff, help them with canvassing. Get your friends involved. Help them craft their messages and things like that.
Back here, back here.
I'd love to hear from each of you your top 3 issues.
Yes.
As you talk to the various people, maybe you're cross-pollinating, maybe it's different silos, but what are young people saying is going to get them motivated to get out?
What's your slogan?
Because a lot of the young people I talk to could not relate to who was running for office, or it was tragic, they said, it doesn't matter who wins, because it will not affect me, so that was tragic. But what are you guys hearing? Because you're the Energizer Bunnies here, right? Getting everybody geared up again. So each of you, we would love to hear from you, what you're hearing.
Yeah, I'll start out. I think the thing that I hear the most when I'm talking to is this good? Yeah. I think the thing that I hear the most amongst folks that I talk to is number 1, cost of living. That is the single hands down the biggest issue, cost of living. And I think a close second is a complementary issue to that, just the affordability of housing and the lack of housing, right? As individuals are starting to, take on this new journey of life, they're exiting college or they're entering college and they're focused on, okay, what is my career going to look like after school? Or, am I going to want to start a family? What is my life going to look like after this, after I take these next steps? But they're so bogged down by the fact that everyday essential items are through the roof expensive. You can't really find quality housing at an affordable price. So I think people are, a lot of young people are kind of short-sighted right now. They don't really see that we're working towards the issues that are going to affect us in the long run. But yeah, that would be my opinion.
I would have to highlight what Trey said as well. I mean, it's cost of living. It's sort of an umbrella. It not only mentions just housing, but also economic dependencies, employment, especially our generation. Many of us graduating, looking for jobs, looking for employment. Entry-level jobs are just not enough for us anymore. I know I bartend on the side as well, and this past summer, 4 individuals went in to turn in their applications, and 3 out of those 4 already had bachelor's degrees. Meanwhile, I'm still in school. So I kind of, I took it to heart and I said, wow, I'm lucky that I have a job. But another issue for me that a lot of people here in Arizona are actively looking at is, water sustainability. As climate change moves on and on, I believe that that's something that we in our generation are going to have to tackle.
Cannot stress enough how much students care about the cost of living. As someone who was tabling on the mall and asking students, why are you registered as a Democrat? Why aren't you interested in politics? They don't think politicians or those involved in politics care about their cost of living. They come into a room like this and they say, well, you already have a house. You've already gone through the hardships of life. Why should I listen to you? You don't know the struggles that I'm going through. I work 2 jobs. I run 2 clubs. I'm getting my bachelor's degree. I'm a transfer student. I did not start out at the U of A. I went to community college. And this is all while still living at home with my mom, who's a teacher and helps support me. I pay for college out of my own pocket. That's all me. And so when I walk into these rooms and I see you guys willing to support us and willing to understand that we are not living in the same financial times, that is what makes me want to work for those other students who don't see the need to get involved because they're so worried about making enough money to survive and what their future is going to look like. Then they look at climate issues and they're like, well, what's the point? Are we going to be here in 50 years from now? Temperatures are rising. it's September and we're still seeing 90, 100-day degrees in Arizona. We should be getting cooler by now. We see a water supply where we're supposed to be getting water from the Colorado River, and we're not seeing that in return. We see Arizona taking up these plans with data centers that are then going to take even more water from us. And then we're told, well, you shouldn't be worrying about those issues because it doesn't matter. You need the money. We need the money. Well, what's the point of money if we're not going to be alive? Those waters taking supplies from us.
Yeah, so I would like to echo those points as well when it comes to jobs, housing, cost of living. But there's another thing as well that is really creating a lot of nihilism inside of our generation, and that is the bloodshed and war that's happening across the world. Because we use social media extremely frequently, which means we are constantly inundated in images of children dead in Gaza, of apartment complexes in Ukraine being destroyed, and of this month's school shooting. And when we see all of these things compounded by the climate crisis, we don't see that there is a future for us in 20 years, in 30 years. And the actions of the politicians who are in charge are only continuing to put money into oil or into other, or into like data centers. All of these things that are actively taking away the last thing that we have left, which is our climate. We think that we're going to be inheriting a burning and dead world.
And we were out demonstrating, and we had the same trials that you do. But you're our grandchildren, and we're here still. That's how you
But we have different economics. The thing is our young people not listening to the news, getting all of their news from social media, which is so divided. And if they were listening to the news, perhaps the last election would have been different. Because the things that were being talked about on the Democratic side was building houses. You know, it's like, if you don't listen to the news, you're not informed. What is the deal with that?
I would love to answer this question because I understand where you're coming from, and I don't completely disagree with you. But I think it's really, when you sit here and you're asking us, well, how can we help you? How do you guys want to get involved? What got you involved? Social media. That's what got me involved. So I think it's not the wisest or the smartest thing to then tell a younger generation that you're not paying attention to the news because it's on social media. Well, guess who's also posting on social media? The New York Times, CNN. Those are news outlets. They post their stories on a website, they post it on social media. What's the difference between us reading it on Instagram than it is me reading it on my laptop on Google? We are seeing a new wave of journalism that I don't think everyone quite understands or is willing to accept. There are people who are able to give us first-hand, real accounts of incidents happening before major news outlets are able to get there. Those are the same people that those news outlets would have interviewed and asked questions about and shared those stories on the nightly news. You know what? Some of us can't afford cable. Lord knows they don't pay us enough to afford cable. So we don't get access to the nightly news every night. And you know what's free? Instagram, TikTok. We're gonna go where we're wanted, where we're accepted, where we're appreciated, and where we're told we are able to come in and share our ideas, share our thoughts. If we look at what's happening right now in Gaza, do you think you would have the same story of the real accounts of what's happening if it wasn't for people on social media? If we look back at the Iraq War, it was major media that reported and told us, this is what's going on. This is what the US government is doing. We're not doing that. And then they tell us, oh, sorry, we were lying to you, don't believe us. How are we then supposed to, as a generation that came after the Iraq War, that came after 9/11, And we were told that the media lies to you. And then you have a president who comes in like Donald Trump and tells you, it's all fake news, it's all fake news, it's all fake news. We don't want to trust big major news outlets, and I don't think that's our fault. I think that's how the system was set up for us. So we are then going to go look to social media for real accounts of real incidents and real personal stories about how these things are impacting them, and we're going to respond to that. That doesn't mean that we're not paying attention to the news and that's why people didn't vote in the election. People did vote, but we've also been disingenuous by a government and a system and an election process that we don't trust that our vote matters. And a lot of the people that could vote in the last election were first-time voters. Can you imagine that? The first time I was able to vote again was Donald Trump. That's insane for us. And so people who then get to go on social media and see these crazy things happening all across the world, and then they go on major news outlets and see they're not reporting on this, my elected officials aren't talking about this, why should I go out and vote and support them? Don't blame us for not voting. Blame the elected officials for not making themselves good enough for people to come out and vote for them.
I loved your answer, that was really well put. I'm looking for all to address artificial intelligence and how that's playing into how we're going to
So in my tech job right now, I am needing to work a significant amount with generative intelligence, or generative AI, because that's what every one of our clients is working. And so even though it is not the solution for basically any of the issues that they're facing, all of the corporate leaders are saying, we want AI, we want AI, we want AI. And the purpose of this is cost reduction and cost cutting. And this is taking away primarily entry-level jobs, because those are the ones that are most easily automated. Because people who are higher up, such as high-level software engineers or civil servants, their jobs are complex enough that the AI isn't able to do it. However, some entry-level data analyst or record keeper can have their job taken away overnight by these systems. And so that is a very genuine and dangerous threat to our generation. I do firmly believe that generative AI will ultimately make our lives better, as most technology does, as it is allowing for things such as protein folding to be done at rates that are unknown. It's allowing us to pick up trends in population data that are extremely important for decision making. However, at the moment, we're in a transitional period with this generative AI, where it is causing a significant number of problems before it will eventually settle down into where it is actually useful.
Yeah, I think I largely agree with that. I think AI is definitely the way of the future. I think we kind of lack, or we tend to, I'd say we as a young people, I think we tend to not really look at the moral and ethical situation behind AI. As you said, I mean, you have instances where factories are becoming essentially completely automated, and people are losing their jobs by the hundreds. I mean, it's devastating community sometimes. But at the same time, I genuinely do believe that we will be able to use AI to our benefit, especially on issues regarding climate.
You can answer the AI, then I'll answer one question after that. But for me, folks, AI is, simply it's a technology that's here and it's not going away. We're right in the prime beta moments of it, and it can be used for good, but it's up to each of us individually how we use it. It's going to come a lot of education behind it. Curriculum is going to end up being formed, for students within elementary or middle school levels, because AI does take a piece of your brain away. Basically, you get lazier, and if you misuse it, that's what's going to happen.
one more comment on AI. Just the other day, I saw a brief interview of Stephen Hawking, and he was asked what he thought about AI, and he too said it will improve your lives, but it needs to be regulated. His main fear was that AI will become so intelligent it can improve itself and will ultimately take over all intelligent thought. Now, Stephen Hawking was talking about AI before it really was a common issue here. So my question is, because I don't understand AI, how do we regulate it to keep it safe and useful?
I'm obviously no policy expert, but with the experience that I've had working as an intern in Congress and as an intern working with counterterrorism, AI needs to be regulated at the congressional level, at the federal level, across all states in the same way. It should not be regulated differently for different states to then go in and change it and adapt it so that whoever's in power then can benefit it from this time, but then they go in and change it. I think Congress needs to come together and make a set policy that across the board regulates AI. Otherwise, we'll get different companies exploiting the different regulations in different states to their benefit to then come in and use it however way they want. Now, I'm no expert in AI, so I can't tell you how that regulation will look, but I think if we aren't smart about making sure it's the same across the board, we will then face issues where people will just go to different states because they have lesser regulations, and then what was the point of the higher regulation in Washington State when Arizona doesn't want to adopt it, and so the companies will just come here and exploit the people of Arizona.
I went to college in the 1960s, for most of the 60s, but that's a different story. And the students there were up in arms. But the issues affected students: the draft and the war, drug policy,
Vietnam War,
sexual freedom, minorities. What can we do here, and you as yourselves, and as a function of what we're trying to do, to engage the students for dealing with problems they don't really have yet, they won't have for 4 or 5 years, and their heads are down, their legs are turning so hard just to get through school. It's hard to look up and see working their butts off for a job that may not be minimum wage.
I am going to agree with you partly, then I'm going to disagree with you as well. I think the issues are facing us right now. I think young people know the issues that we're facing. And to be honest, we're making it loud and clear. I think you have a situation where you have elected officials, candidates, a broader party structure that kind of refuses to take on some of the issues that young people are truly advocating for. I mean, there's a student group I know, PSL, their main rallying point is the war in Gaza and and rising economic inequality. And they'll get folks in the hundreds in rallies downtown. I've been to a march they had for Gaza, and there was probably 200 to 250 folks down there. It was huge, you know. But I think once we see our party, our elected officials, our candidates running on and supporting policies, social issues, whatever it is that young people are actively advocating for, I think that's when we'll start to see us become more involved. Like you said, those were issues that young people were directly facing. We are directly facing these issues. It's just that we're being constantly ignored or belittled or told that you don't necessarily know what you're talking about. We've been through this before. You just gotta wait it out, or something to that effect. But I definitely do what you're saying.
I just want to add to that. As I'm sure all of you know, the Democratic candidate in New York in the mayoral race, Ron Mamdani, he's won in numbers, and everyone's wondering, how did he do it? What's his secret? What's he saying that everyone's listening to that we're not listening to? Well, he's listening to us. He took the issues we said we care about, and he's running on those. Well, his policies aren't going to work. They're not going to matter. Well, you know what? Donald Trump won on saying he was the no-war president. It doesn't really matter to the average person what the policy is. They want to hear that you're listening to them, that they matter, that they're human, that at the end of the day, you are elected to represent them. Not the billionaires, not your donors, your constituents. So he won because he has 30,000 volunteers who are knocking on doors. Imagine if elected officials in Tucson and across the country ran on the very clear issues that young people keep saying are their top issues. They haven't changed. They're the same. And they ran on those issues. Democrat candidates would then win those elections because those are the issues they care about. Once they're in office, we can work to get the policy to actually fix those top issues. So that's the major issue. It's not a matter of young people don't know what their issues are, they're too busy, they're not focused. No, we've been shouting into a void and no one is picking up. So at some point, we're going to stop going to those same people. We're going to focus on other candidates and other groups and other people that are willing to listen to our issues and fight for that. That's all we're asking. And I really don't think at the end of the day it's that much, but it's somehow confusing to people that we don't want to support or join a system that doesn't listen or fight for us.
Just back up just a little bit, and that is, okay, I think getting back to the Gaza things, all right? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I went to a rally a while back, and I understood that it was about labor, okay? And, we started walking, marching, and people, with the little bullhorns, whatever. And it started saying, from the river to the sea, death to Israel. Okay, one thing I want to say is, most of us Jews do not support Netanyahu or his cronies in any way possible that we feel the same way about Gaza that you do. All right, another thing is, it's most people in Israel don't support that government. I mean, totally hated and supported by Donald Trump, he's given more power, which unfortunately is really, really sad. But, it's just something that it really hurts me. To hear things like that.
Sorry. So I agree with you completely. I had a friend who was in Israel on October 7th, and I still remember how afraid I was for him when the first reports started coming in of missiles flying over Israel and with Hamas breaking through those. And the unfortunate fact of the matter is that all too often when the average person thinks about these situations, they group them up as much as possible. And so they view Netanyahu and his regime, honestly, as the entirety of Israel and what Israel stands for. And when they think of Gaza, they don't think of Hamas, because it isn't Hamas who are suffering, it's the innocent people of Gaza. And this has unfortunately led to so many people not realizing that there are constantly protests in Tel Aviv trying to bring the few remaining hostages back home. And it also, they aren't aware that at any point this could have been stopped by Israel. If they actually had the goal of bringing back the hostages, Netanyahu could have done it. Netanyahu is a warmonger, and he wants people to die. But that isn't the actual, that isn't what Israel stands for. Israel, the people of Israel, they don't want this. Nobody wants this, aside from the very few who are in power. And unfortunately, this is a very difficult message to convey to people.
Going back to what you were saying earlier about not being listened to, and that's why Johnny it has done so well, because he is. But I look back at the Biden administration. I mean, he was dealing with cost of living. He was dealing with housing. He had an infrastructure bill with his green jobs. He had climate issue. He was dealing with the climate issue. I mean, but he was abandoned. I mean, what happened was tragic when he dropped out. Sure, it should have happened sooner. But still, I think the Democratic Party was on the right thing, but they were abandoned.
The Democratic Party has a problem with messaging.
Consistently? Because what? Because we don't lie.
Attract young people.
What was that?
What should the messaging be?
Simple.
Simple. Say exactly what we're saying back to us. One thing that has stuck with me in my time of politics and my interest in political science is, I can't remember, it must have been an interview or something. Someone said that the average American who focuses on politics has to be spoken to in a 4th or 5th grade level. And that's not saying that Americans aren't smart. That's just saying people just need to be told the simple message of your policy. And I think this goes back to, I mean, we're taught this in school, write a thesis statement. It should be one sentence. Then it's shorter and shorter. If you can't get your messaging across in a sentence, in a thesis, people are going to lose interest. Because you're saying a lot of stuff at me and I'm not hearing what I want to hear. People want to hear what they want to hear, bottom line. And the Democratic Party, unfortunately, right now, is having a horrible time with messaging. One person goes out and says this, then they get criticized. I didn't say that, I meant this, I meant this. Stop conforming to a small group of people that are your donors and billionaires, and listen to the mass movement of young folks who are asking very simple things from you. Change your messaging to the 1990s, early 2000s policy playbook that won Obama his election. It's not going to work. Adopt with the modern times. Use avenues like podcasts and social media to then get to those voters that you're saying are not involved. They want to be involved. Meet us halfway. It does not take that much time out of their day to make a CNN interview and then to go post a video on social media or talk to a podcaster. But they're unwilling to change with us. The Democratic Party needs to change. It's not a bad thing.
All right, one more. What are your majors?
Are you saying that people voted for Trump because he said he was going to handle the economy? Is that what you're saying? Even though we all know that was the opposite.
And that's how it's always been. It's always been a cycle, you know. Democrats are in office, we do it well, you know, economy's coming up, we get voted out, and the circle continues, you know. And going back a little bit to yours, I was an intern at the White House for the Biden administration for the Office of Presidential Personnel. I handled a lot of national security Senate confirmations. It was a great team. Overall, the administration, they were so united and they were all on board with, at the time, the Democratic Party's administration goals with the agenda. I was there for the Inflation Reduction Act bill, for the CHIPS Act bill celebrations. We were striving, and this big, beautiful, or big, ugly bill, however you like to say, this is what's going to set the next economic tax breaks, tax codes for 10 years ahead, probably. So, and then also, not to mention, they had underlined that the AI did not want to regulate it for 10 years as well. So that's corporate greed as well, where instead of room for innovation, they just want room for money. So, and last question.
Jennifer, you had one more.
I had one. What are your majors?
Oh, yeah.
I'm political science with an emphasis in international relations and a minor in Middle Eastern and North African studies.
I do political science with emphasis in public policy and double major with law as well. So.
I'm poli-sci with an emphasis in law and public policy, and I minor in econ.
Graduated in 2024, worked for the Primavera Foundation for a year before they cut all of our grants, and then now doing software development.
And I have a degree in English. Well, I must say, are you willing to stay for a few more minutes? Sure. All right, gentlemen right here.
Look, hold on, I'm sorry. We've got a question that's been waiting in the
all right.
What's your question?
Hi, my name is Alicia. I will answer the major. I'm majoring in film and television, but I'm minoring in politics because I helped canvas back in November, and I saw what happened, and I saw the disconnect within my community as a film and television student. Nobody's interested in politics. It's nothing but bad news. It's horrible. Why do I care? For Hell mentions, a message will get to you, a thesis statement. Trump ran on the slogan, MAGA. The simple acronym, Make America Great Again. And that's what fooled people in. They're hearing promises. People won't go into the different politics. When they read on, when you're filling out your ballot and you're reading the props, people don't care. They generally just don't care. That's why we make those sheets where we're telling them, like, here are bullet points. This is what it means. Simplify. His acronym caught the attention, and then he gave them lies, which to them, especially as the younger generation, you don't know any better. You're still learning, you're growing as a person, and you're told, hey, I'm giving you all these promises. You saw my last term. This is how it all worked out. I can do that again for you. Don't look into the small details because you won't know it. So this is my big picture. Just don't look into it. But people don't do that.
One more question. Yes.
Do you have any candidates that you're favoring for next year's election in Ciscomani?
Good question.
Against Siscomani? Well, right now we do have Mendoza who's running for CD6. I believe she's the only one.
There's several. There's several. There are about
So-
6 or 7 still.
Yes, so actually as a club, we actually have students who live in CD6 and want to meet the candidates. So we're actually working to host them to come and talk with students. So we don't have a favorite for the CD6 election quite yet. I will say right now, the city of Tucson is having their city elections, and we have great candidates there. Miranda Schubert has been phenomenal in messaging, in coming and speaking with college students, in being willing to listen to us, while also understanding the policy that has to then back up what we want. And they have been great to coming and reaching out to UA College Devs and having us canvas for them and coming and meeting us in the middle. That's what we're asking for. So unfortunately, sir, I'm sorry, we do not have a favorite CD6 candidate yet. We're working to make that decision. And if you want to follow up with us, please email us if you have some thoughts or questions you'd like us to ask.
And we also endorse candidates when it comes time to elections, so that's why we don't have one selected at the moment. We have our board vote and we do it jointly. But moving forward as well, it's going to be very crucial to get Governor Hobbs back deeper in office. So Governor Hobbs to the AG and to the Secretary of State, that's the main goal at the moment.
You'll never have a Republican to give you a living wage, so that's the thing to really live on. If you want that living wage to do the rest of your life, that's what you have to vote. That's why you vote Democrat.
And then the YDAZ also does endorse specific candidates. We don't have anybody for CD6 yet. It is a little bit too early to tell. Or sorry, CD7, my bad, against the system.
Well, we were running an election today. Out of all the Democrats nationally, not just Arizona, but nationally, is there any candidate that you feel appeals to younger people and listens to younger people? And you can all have different opinions on that. That's what we'd like to hear.
Well, I think, if I can respond, because there are a lot of candidates running, none of us are going to step up and say, well, pick this one for sure.
No, I'm not asking for that. I'm saying, is there someone, so for instance, Pete Buttigieg, is someone thinking Pete would make an excellent candidate, but this is what needs to be done together? That's what I'm really asking for. I'm wondering, as an older person, what you as a younger person are seeing in some of the people that...
Is it Pritzker? Is it Shapiro? Who is it?
So, I'd love to answer that question. So, there is a representative in Texas by the name of James Tolerico. And I already mentioned Zoran Mamdani. You guys have seen and read a lot of think pieces on why young people are interested in him. I do want to mention, as far as this representative in Texas, and you're probably looking at it, well, how do you support this and you support Zoran Mamdani? Well, he's able to bring in a side of religion where he can speak to people, because there are young people who are religious and who practice Christianity and use that to help them vote. And I think that's something that's also lost, is that young folks don't care about religion. Well, I think that's a lie, as someone who grew up Christian, and my family was very involved in the church. But he is able to speak on a very real note about how real life things happening to us today can be related back to Bible verses. Well, we saw that with Republicans running. They relate things to Bible verses and they're able to get this base behind them. So it's hard to see. I understand that people might have their different opinions in religion and politics. I understand. I also am not going to shut out a group of people who like religion and politics just because I don't agree with them. But this representative comes out and he speaks with people on a very real note. He went on Joe Rogan and was able to speak with people. That's coming to the middle. That's going to the #1 podcast in the country and talking to him like he's a real person, not talking down to them, and relating what his experience is, what young people are going through, and being able to speak to how Trump administration policies are going to affect young people. We're asking for people to come meet us in the middle. Come talk to us. We want to talk. We like debate. I don't need to agree on everything with you in order to support you or like you or be a Democrat with you. These different, from this representative in Texas to Zoran Mamdani, are doing the simple thing of meeting young people in the middle, meeting us on social media instead of telling us, don't go on social media, go read the news somewhere else. Well, hey, imagine if you were 18, 20 at the time and someone told you you shouldn't be doing the one big thing you really liked at the time. What are you going to do? Listen to the old folks in the room? Then you're going to turn your back on them. And I mean that in the kindest way possible. I think it's a little ignorant to sit there and tell us we have to listen to you when were you listening to your grandparents at the time? No.
through this. You know we have your back.
I do know, yes.
Made different because I'm old and I don't like, you just said in plain words about we're supposed to believe you old people, and you should be listening to somewhat. And I think we are willing to listen to you, but you have to appreciate who we are and you have to appreciate we have your back.
We do understand that, but I think that group of people is a smaller group of people than you think it is. Because, yes, it's very nice that we're able to fill this room and have people willing to listen to us and hear us and actually have this discussion. On a national stage, we don't. We're being told, shut up, go sit in the corner. We don't want... Again, this is a generalization.
Okay, we're gonna have to call it quits here. To let you know, though, that in the upcoming months, in the next few months, Quail Creek and Green Valley will continue to have joint meetings. Especially in January, we will have candidates for the CD6. We decided to wait because a couple recently became candidates and 2 recently left the scene. So there's no sense in having a debate until we know who will be there. So I think we plan in January, we'll have a debate with those candidates left for CD6. Next Saturday in Green Valley, we've got the gentleman that's running for mine inspector and also a gentleman that's running for the state treasurer. So join us next Saturday. Well, I must say, wrapping this up, not only was it refreshing, but it's very hopeful. We want you to join us again. Come down for our rallies every other Saturday. To come up and say, why don't we have young people here? Because the town's pretty old. But come join us, and we'll let you know what else we're doing. You let us know what we can join you, and we'll do it. Hopefully you'll join us at a rally at Siskamani with the petition. We'll let you know. Cool. All right, thank you very much.